Hello and welcome along to my channel. My name's Suzanne and I garden and grow cut flowers in Devon in the UK. In this week's video we are putting together some arrangements for a local party, so I'm really pleased that the dailies have just held out long enough for that. It was a bit touch and go when I took the booking because my season is supposed to end at the end of September, and this party is the 21st of October, so it was a bit of a risk, but it's one I'm pleased I took because I was happy with the result, which we will now go on and take a look at. I'm going to be making just a vase arrangement. I'm not 100% positive that this vase is watertight, but again, the same as the arrangement that I've just done, which I'll hopefully show you a picture of. That one was not watertight, so I've had to add plastic containers into that. But we'll give this one a go. We'll see if it holds water. So these arrangements are for a party, and there are 16 table arrangements to do as well. But I'll do it as a separate video, otherwise it would just be too long. Okay, and obviously foam-free mechanics for me. So I've got this piece of chicken wire. I've seen some great videos recently of people making actual cubes from the plastic covered wire, and they do look great, and I would experiment with those. The only trouble with those is they have to be exactly the right size for the receptacle you're using. The great thing about using the chicken wire like this is you can sort of squish it to fit. So this is for the lazy people like me, who just want one size fits all. So this is chicken wire that I have used and manipulated into shape many times, and I don't put it through my dishwasher, but I do clean it with a good I actually use one of the antibacterial fairy liquids, because I like the fact that fairy liquids are really good at sort of degreasing as well. So if you have had slimy stems in there, they're quite good at getting them. And I just do it in a bucket of water with a scrubbing brush. But I can see that the plastic coated ones would definitely be good for going in your dishwasher. If you of course have got a dishwasher, which you may not have. I think I've got a small bit of wire, but I think it's in... I know where it is and I don't think it's accessible. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to place it in, because I want it a bit fatter at the bottom if I can. So if I place it in, I can hopefully put my hand in and loosen that all back out again. Oh yeah, that's good. Okay. And then we just need to manipulate. It's not going to matter if some of it's proud. That's not going to matter at all. In fact, I sometimes find that's helpful. You do want to make sure you sort of jammed it in though, so that it's not going to move. Right. Okay, so we've got water and we've got wire. And we're going to start with some absolutely beautiful spindle. I haven't actually cut everything to size here, so hopefully this isn't going to take me too long. But look at this beautiful spindle. I have actually planted 2 spindle trees of my own, actually 5 of my own, but they are tiny little saplings, and they're not going to be ready for growing on for some time. Now it's got a really fat stem, so I'm just gonna I'm gonna get secateurs because the stem is far too thick for my scissors, and I think I'm gonna have this one quite low. I wonder what that was then. I got bitten in the house by a fly earlier, so I was just checking it wasn't one of those. Oh my gosh, I don't even know if my secateurs are gonna cut this. Oh, and going back to, so this isn't from my spindle tree, but it is sourced from a location where I have the permission of the landowner. And it's always very important, if you are going to go foraging for any plant material, that you do have the permission of the landowner. You are not just allowed to go and cut things out of hedges unless you've asked permission. So if you're watching, Marion, thank you very much for my spindle. Now this will probably be the hardest stem of all the stems I've got to get in because it is so fat. So let's get it in first. It's got quite a few knobbly bits on it as well. Perfect. Okay, and now I want some spindle going here so that we have a nice line. And I don't want my arrangement to be more than sort of 2.5 times the height of the receptacle would be the most, but I'm aiming for sort of twice as much. So we're thinking about here, so something like this should be perfect. This has got a really nice colour to the leaves as well. But we're going to have to cut it down quite a lot. I want to make sure the stem can get into the water. And I'm looking for things that will naturally arch that way as well. So that's quite good. I just try and get rid of this real knobbly. When you're working with foam, any knobbly bits are annoying, and just the same with wire. They just stop things going into whatever you're using as mechanics cleanly. This design, I should have checked and I didn't. I don't know if it's to be viewed all the way around or just from the front or side. So I've already made one. I'm making them both so that actually it wouldn't matter which way around they went. So I should have checked really. That's my fault. Before I put any more spindle in, I'm going to put in some alder. Again, I haven't got any alder, but this is from my parents' property. They have a little river, and alder absolutely loves to grow along the edge of riverbanks. And I use it a lot at this time of year for Christmassy things. I know it's only October, but you do start sort of making things for photographs. So I love the catkins, and it also has these lovely little, I don't think I selected any with the little almost like miniature pine cones on them, because that's not what I wanted for this project. What I wanted was these catkins, you can just see hanging down there. So let's have a look at the shape of these branches and see. I mean, that's a beautiful shaped branch itself. It's a shame to cut it up. Okay, so that one's got a nice arch that way. And then I'm just working out where to cut the stem by holding it next to my... Oh, and I'm taking all of the leaves off of the alder. I'm not using it for the leaves, I'm using it for the sort of the woody colour of the bark, because it goes really well with the container, this really brown colour, and the shape, and of course the lovely catkins. But the leaves are unnecessary. It will start to lose all its leaves soon now. We have had an awful lot of wind, so actually it hasn't got too many leaves on it. You put all of your big heavy branches in first because, well, several reasons. They give you the structure, but also they're quite hard to get into the wire because they are so fat and woody. So you want to put them in at the beginning. So I'm having to make these flowers a day early. They're not needed until Saturday. but I am working all day tomorrow, which is Friday, so I'm having a go at doing them now, and I'm just going to hope that they're going to be okay. I will have time on Saturday morning to tweak anything, so if anything's died I can take it out and replace it. I just wanted to get the main structure done. Okay, so then I've got this Himalayan honeysuckle. Lots of people hate this in the garden because it is a real thug. It grows really quickly and it gets really big. But if you're using it for cutting, as I am, you can, a bit like Buddleia, you can really give it a severe haircut every year. And actually, I basically cut the whole plant down just to get some of these. They're sort of berries forming, seed pods. But again, I thought it would be quite useful to get the shape that I'm after. I wouldn't use this in any arrangements out of water. It is very thirsty. Yeah, not one for a bridal bouquet. You'd use amaranthus there. My amaranthus is all gone now. In fact, my cut flower patch doesn't have a lot of life left in it. And you can see at the moment I'm sort of working in twos. So basically what I'm doing is if I'm putting a certain piece on one side, I'm then adding it onto the other side as well. I'm keeping some of the leaves on this, but it is quite heavy on the leaves. It's actually really quite heavy with its berries as well. I'm going to hide a lot of the mechanics with bracken, which you can see I've got here. So you won't be able to see all this while I'm finished, but I think I'd like to start thinking about adding some flowers. Now for the large arrangements, I'm using all flowers from my garden, but for some of the table posies, I have actually ordered some flowers from Cornwall. But these will all be my flowers. So mainly dahlias, but I think I will just pop a few bits of bracken in around the very lower. The bracken, it doesn't matter if it's not in the water because it's completely dry, so as long as you've got it secure. You can't really do, well you can, but I think, you know, bracken is one of those things that if you're doing an autumnal arrangement, you it's sort of a necessity, isn't it? That's too high. That way. In danger of losing my shape, I need a much lower piece there. I'm trying to jam the bracken in the edge if I can, so that when I travel it's not all going to fall out. Right, that's brilliant. I like that. So the spindle's great because it's got sort of pink and orangey tones in it. And I've basically just cut pretty much everything I've got in the garden. But I haven't got so much of the pink as I've got of sort of the oranges and the reds. And I'm trying to use ball dahlias where I can because I know they're more likely to last. This is quite a red one. And I want to really make sure it's down in the water. This one's got a nice bend in it, so I'm going to try and add this one over here. I don't have a fancy spinny anything. Roses have such good strong stems, but obviously this time of year they're quite likely to blow open, so I've tried to select some like this one that has got lots of buds that the sepals have started to go back, so some of these may start to open, and then I can always just deadhead the ones that have blown open. This piece of Achillea is a bit big, so I'll take off some of the side shoots. I can perhaps use those in the table centres. It's quite difficult for me to stand far enough back to get a feeling for it. I feel like this stem has turned. So my season is officially closed. I shouldn't be doing this really, but you know when you just can't say no. Don't be afraid to slip things down lower. It gives it a depth of feel. You don't want everything to, and you certainly don't want it all to be too, well, you know my style by now, too uniform. So I'm liking the colour mix. I've got a few holes round here, and then I'll deal with the holes round there. I think we've got a few scabious we can pop in. If I can get them in. I think that paid off. My persistence paid off. So I don't like this area here. I'm deliberately avoiding hawthorn berries and rose hips and things that are too green, because I really don't want this to look like it's for a Christmas party. And also I think the family are going to be adding some arrangements themselves, where I think they'll quite likely add those sorts of things. I think they'd be, well, I think if I were paying a florist to do flowers for an event and then they almost recreated what I was creating, I would be a little bit annoyed. The idea of having a florist do it is that it's something that you wouldn't do yourself. I think we're getting there now. It would just be a case of covering up the workings, then the wire, because you get to the point where you can't easily put any more flowers in when it starts getting a bit full. I've forgotten something really important, and I should have put it in earlier. I've forgotten my aster. That's what this is missing. That is exactly what this is missing. I should have put it in earlier because it's a really good filler. And it's got that pink in that we were looking for. Now this one's got a really good arch on it. Okay, I think we're nearly there now. I can always add a few extra things in on Saturday morning. I do just need to hide my workings a little bit with a bit more bracken. So you can't see, but I'm looking at the other arrangement up here just to see how well it ties in. Oh, that's not gone as low down as I thought it had. That's better. I didn't want to see the stem of that dahlia sticking out, but we just need a little bit more bracken around the front here. Just the same as we've got this side here. Both these bits of bracken snapped. I wonder if I did that when I collected it. And remember, it really doesn't matter if the bracken is in the water or not. Right, so I'm just going to go around now and just see where the mechanics are really showing. And just fill those areas in with something. So I am also looking at this from the sides, which obviously is not really its intended view, but if it were to be viewed from the sides, I want it to look okay. Right, okay. I'm going to call that a day, and I might tweak it a bit on Saturday. What I'll try and do is try and find somewhere to show you both of these large arrangements so you can see what they both look like. So this is the one that I've just made with you, and this is the one that I made earlier. But this one I didn't want to film me making because it was a bit of a faff because it's not watertight. So it's got 4 plastic soup containers and a bottle jammed in the bottom of it with the wire on top. But it's meant, because the plastic tubs probably only come to about here, about halfway, I've had to try and make sure that all these stems go right down to here in the water. And obviously once it gets this full, it's very difficult to guarantee that. So this might not work. This might need to be redone before Saturday. We'll see how it goes. Whereas this one was in the water, so obviously I could film that because it was much easier to do. Well, thank you very much for joining me again for this week's video. Great to have you with me. If you did like the video, please give it a thumbs up. And I'd be really grateful if you're still here at the end, if you could subscribe. That would be fantastic. It would really help me along with my channel.